Hi everyone, welcome back home. I was really waffling on putting on headphones or not, because I've got some pedestrian streets where I think headphones would be good, but then there was a lot of ambient noise and I find they pull them in. So if you don't mind telling me if you are hearing me just fine, that would be fantastic. But I am out here in the park of Malaga, which is the most diverse botanical garden in Europe, at least according to them, which is pretty cool. So I just wanted to say hi and welcome you here. Oh, great. Great. I'm glad you're hearing me. I'm happy to have you here with me, of course. It is a beautiful day. However, hey, Michelle, hola. Group of us, including Michelle, just had lunch at Casa Lola, and maybe the best meal on the whole trip, even though this is the last day of the whole trip. Hi, Diane. So, hi, Jeff. Nice to see you, my friend. So it's nice to have everyone joining in. I am in the city of Malaga, which is kind of the gateway to the Costa del Sol, I would say. So I thought I'd take you over. Actually, I'm going to go quickly now. I thought I would take you over to the port, and then we'll walk into the old town for a while. So what we did, we're staying in a place called Fuengirola, in a very, very nice hotel, better than nice, with a water view. We had a day at the beach yesterday, and so today decided we'd all come. Well, a few people stayed back at the beach, but hey, Paula, nice to see you. It's been ages. But let me just give you a sense of where I am right now. There we go. So there is, of course, the huge Spanish flag, the port of Malaga. This is an ancient city. Now, not quite as old as Cadiz, but probably talking 2,600 years, maybe 2,800 years of continuous occupation. So we're still in the very, very far south of the Iberian Peninsula. Country of Spain, of course, Portugal shares this peninsula as well. Look at those big super yachts out there. My solution to all of that is to impound them or tax them into oblivion. But anyway, different discussion for a different day. But that spit of land out there, the other side is the actual beach. But Malaga's big. Malaga has a huge airport because it's the main airport for people coming in from the Costa del Sol. So if you start where I am here, and then you travel, I'm going to say about 120 kilometers down the coast, then you will get down to Gibraltar, and that's really how you define the Costa del Sol, is in that area. About 25% of the coastal communities are non-Spanish. So British, Irish, tons of Scandinavians, Germans, I mean Europeans as a general rule, from further north who come down here for all the obvious reasons. There's a big ferry. I think that ferry is going over to Ceuta, which is a port, Spanish port, over on Moroccan territory. By the way, just one little side note for some Europeans, of course, have gone on and on about Israel having a wall, with Palestine. But keep in mind, Europe has two ports over there, Ceuta and Melilla, and there's huge walls and chain fences to keep the Europeans out. And I just always think it's important to mention that because that never gets talked about, yet other places get criticized. But yeah, Malaga is it's lovely, but it's big. It's officially about 600,000 people, but the greater area is about 1 million, so it's a big city. We took a train for 48 minutes or so up from Fuengirola to come here. Super easy, except I went out this morning to buy train tickets for my group, and of the 4 machines, 3 were broken, so it took me a while to get all the tickets. But return train fare was like 7.5 or 8 euros, something like that. Nothing. So lovely to see. So there is a government building now. I expect that's the old customs house. So getting back just to some of the history, because of course the history is always really important. No, I'll just mention Estación Marítima. They also do have the big cruise ships coming here. There was I think it's actually left now. There was a Belgian one sitting here earlier, a smaller ship, but it was flying a Belgian flag, so that was kind of interesting. Yeah, some clouds. So, city that has 300 days of sunshine, and we caught a bit of rain. Now we had a spectacular spectacular day yesterday in Fuengirola. It's perfect weather. And today, honestly, has been lovely and sunny. But then this little bit of weather moved in and around. It's already moving off. So it is a dry, dry, dry city. The Guadal something is the river, which of course is the old Arabic name for it. But I will have to take you over to this jacaranda tree, which is in full bloom. Spain is in bloom. So it's just all good. Yeah, no, everything's working just perfectly. This lunch we just had. So the hotel we're staying in, Alunion in Fuengirola, the staff are, I mean, honestly, service in Spain is so good, but the staff are so nice. But the younger fellow who was bartender got chatting with him, and we were all having a drink yesterday. And we're just asking him, about his advice for Malaga for a day. And he said, oh yeah, take the train to the very last station. You have the port here, and then you have the cathedral, which I'm going to walk you up to. And then he had said, and the best restaurant is Casa Lola. I didn't remember it, but we walked around the corner, and it looked so good, and we sat down there. And then our friend Michelle said, hey, this is exactly the place that he recommended, and it was the best pil langostinas or prawns that I've ever had in Spain. And that I tend to eat them, but look at that gorgeous tree up there. So lovely, friendly lunch. And we sat down at about 3 minutes to 1, and by 10 past 1, it was a lineup outside. So obviously other people have heard the secret. So lots of traffic. Let me just wait for that all to clear out. And there's people up on those hop on, hop off buses going around. So I'm not in any way, as always, pretending to be an expert on these communities, but I know enough about it to share with you. I first came here, the first time I set foot in Malaga was in 2008 or 9. I don't think I'd been here before that. And then I was back one other time about 10 years ago. And then last year I actually finished a tour here and spent the night here, but over in kind of the touristy, everything's touristy, but in the more modern section by the beach, which was fine, but we got in so late that it wasn't sort of a sense of it. So one thing I would like to reflect upon is, as the Costa del Sol has been developing so much, this central area of Malaga is just way more developed than I've ever seen. But I shouldn't say developed, just way cleaner and crisper and busy than I had ever seen before. In fact, I sort of remember this as being kind of a rougher port city, and it just doesn't feel that way at all at the moment. So it's, it is interesting. Goodness me, it's busy here. Boy, I wish I could grow my hair like that, but I know I can't. So horse-drawn carriages, I never ever go on them because I struggle. I feel like the screen is a little bit foggy, everyone. I hope it isn't. But what I'd like to do is I'm just going to, excuse me for a minute, I'm just going to wipe the camera, okay? Sorry about that. I think that did. I think just needed a little bit of, got a little foggy. I might have caught a raindrop when I was wandering down here. But lovely palm trees, subtropical environment. It's not tropical, but some of the plants in this garden are actually tropical, and they survive here. So we could probably spend another whole hour just on there. We'll just try one more time, okay? Sorry, everyone. There you'll see I'm wearing, let's see if it's clear on the side. I'm wearing a sort of pink shirt and so then you got a pink dash, but I think our screens come a little more clear. Now, you go right back. So you had the Phoenicians here, and then the Romans, of course, 218 BC. They come in till they're pulled back. Visigoths even make it here. And then you have, of course, the sort of emergence of Spain as a country. And then, of course, the Arabic, it's probably too Martin, the Arabic movement into here, the Moors, and this is not reconquered until 1487. So that's a long time after, but there is a castle up top, and then the Alcazar, which is the old castle systems down at the bottom behind the big cathedral. So, no idea why I've cut out. Hopefully everyone can still hear me as I'm here. It's I have been having issues where suddenly my internet cuts out and I have to change my provider, even though of course with my Canadian telephone I pay on top of my $150 a month another $16 a day. So bit of a frustration from that point of view. I don't think the problem's on the Spanish side. I think it's TELUS in Canada, but a different story. So beautiful big building in the distance there, and then there is the castle up top. There we go. Isn't that fantastic? I'm glad to be back with everyone. So Molino Lario Hotel up here, and Molino is a windmill and lots of things. They must have used windmills for a long time here because it shows up. But coming into view is going to be the massive neoclassical cathedral of the city, and it's a little bit like the one in Granada where the square in front of it just not big enough to frame the whole thing. It started in 1528 and it's not really completed until 1763, like 250 years of construction, and there's actually cranes around it. Oh, Joanne, the castle would be owned by the actual country now. So they do say here in Spain, even though they have a royal family, these are all these streets with these great restaurants, by the way. They do say in Spain, it's an interesting saying, that they have the poorest royal family in Europe. That's maybe why the king had to resign after he took money from the Saudis. Because remember, the Saudis have their fingers in everything. But because at the time that the monarchy was ended, all of their palaces were taken over by the state, and then the monarchy was brought back in, and they can live in them and use them, but they don't own them. So it's a little different than other monarchies. Be interesting to know. I really thought this was going to be the first country. Paula, no, I have been to the Picasso Museum. Great question. So by the way, right down there on the right is where we had lunch, and it was just, 12 out of 10. The Picasso, I really just came up for the day for 4 or 5 hours. But yeah, so the royal family here, I really thought this would be the next country to actually get rid of its monarchy, and it hasn't. Of course, when you walk around Spain, you are just surrounded by these massive, massive cathedrals. Overwhelmingly large, and that's all that Catholic colonial history that you have here. You can't actually pay. This beautiful building over here. So that's the cultural center of Malaga. But these towers, you can pay to go up. But after I made the effort to walk up the one in Seville and it was so crowded, I just thought, I can't be bothered here. And what they've done is they've meshed in the tops. You don't really get great photos. Hey, Sarah. Yeah, it is. It's a big city, but what they've done in the center is they've pedestrianized it so much that it's, lovely fountain. The restaurant environment here is clearly not only excellent, but still distinctly, in my mind, less expensive than elsewhere that I've been in Spain on this trip. So, I think obviously it's fun to stay down the coast. I will say, I will say that as a piece of advice in Fuengirola, you have and all those beachy kind of places. And they're all people from other parts of Europe and everything, which is great. It's part of the fun of it. A nice beach. But if you go a couple of streets back, then suddenly you're looking at, affordable tapas, and nothing's terribly expensive, but the prices have come up. Now around me, unfortunately, there's a little bit of work going on here. There's so much to see and do around here, but I want to walk around back. But they do, so there's the Holy Virgin, of course, but they put a crown on her here. Which they do in Spain. It's just a peculiarity of the Spanish process. But you will see just infused into the architecture everywhere. Good point, Joanne. I'll answer that. But you get that Moorish influence. Now, Joanne's just saying, the monarchy is a figurehead, but it's hard to get rid of. It is a figurehead. It becomes a constitutional system, but they still do have power. Like Sanchez, the prime minister of Spain, has been in hot water recently because apparently his wife has been caught up in a corruption scandal and he was going to step down. Now, he just announced today, just a few hours ago, that he is going to stay, which means he seems to think that he is, exempt or not tied up in it. And that's where the monarchy plays a role. I mean, even at home in Canada, it plays a role. Yep. Oh, sorry. If anyone's asking where we are, we're in Malaga. So this is where now we're up at the great big cathedral. And then around back is the old Moorish capital here. And then the big castle up on the hill. What were the historic walls? Many of them were disassembled to actually build the cathedral. And then, of course, you have a bull ring, which I managed to get through my life without going to bullfighting. Not a very appealing thing. But what I wanted to show you around back on the cathedral here, what I very specifically wanted to share with everyone, you're welcome, John, is that it's actually infused. There's the old walls. There's the medieval walls there that would have been, well, I'd probably go back to certainly Roman times, but then were taken over and used to construct the cathedral. So that means we're really in now to the true ancient city here. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Yeah. So it is fun to be out walking in these cities. Now these modern balconies up top, I would call them Potosina balconies, but I might be making that up. But that's the style of balcony that was used in Potosi, where all the wealth that really paid for Spain's development comes from. Of course, Spain for 700 years, 800 years nearly, was in an internal war. But the restaurant environment in this city is just outstanding. I don't know how many of you are fans of quail's eggs, but I had 2 different tapases with quail's eggs on them, and both were a very, very good choice, I have to say. So that's part of the fun. But I just love, now, car coming down here for whatever reason, but love these mostly pedestrianized streets. It's so nice to get away from that. Of course, tons of concrete in these cities. The green sections tend to be quite distinctly the green sections, and then you have the other much more concrete environments. There's the Rivera del Toro. It's another museum over there that, honestly, I cannot tell you anything about. And you certainly do hear a huge amount of English, German, Dutch, but a lot of the Scandinavians, right? Like right beside our hotel, there's specifically, I think it's a Swedish-owned restaurant, and they look like Scandinavians all eating there. Ooh, it's a groovy t-shirt shop over there. I'll have to add that to the many places I don't shop, but I keep meaning to. Now this cow has thought ahead with an umbrella. I don't even own one. So there you go. But what I'm doing is wandering around back. Yeah, this is a good example I want to share. See the menu out here? Tapas a €2.50. So you can get any one of these things for $2.50. The kind of local dish here is very specifically boquerones, which are anchovies but fried. I am a enthusiastic eater of boquerones in vinagre, the ones in white vinegar. I mean, when I say enthusiastic, I've had them every single day of my trip. So this is where you get into the Alcázar. So this is the old capital, right? This is the medieval capital here, and then down to the left of it is actually a Roman theater. Like, it just oozes history, and I know so much of European does, but oh, hi, trees. The question is English widely spoken? You know what? More than it used to be, but definitely. Like, I've got people from Texas on my group, and they usually have a bit of Spanish because, of course, their proximity to Mexico. But here at the coast, definitely are hearing English, but up inland, not so much. And tons of Latin Americans working here, and of course, they're all extremely welcome in my mind. But no, so it helps. Like, I know several times people have. Here's an old, there you go, Teatro Romano de Malaga. So there's a Roman amphitheater down there. So I'm lifting you way over my head. It's closed today on Monday. So yes, as a general rule, I would say if you can have some Spanish, it makes your life a whole lot better. A lot of the menus now are multilingual, and in fact, English, Spanish. But I mean, the ones in Fuengirola, which is like 25% foreign, are be in 5 languages. And the typical German, even French. So, but the more inland you get, I mean, under the whole Franco regime, which didn't terminate till 1975, they didn't study languages, right? Because he made Catalan and Basque illegal and all of that. So that's why it's a bit of a different echo. But yes, more. Now here we go. There you go. There's a Roman amphitheater for you, and there's the old fortress. And welcome to modern European tourism, because look at the lineup just to get in there. Now the jacaranda trees look just beautiful, but yeah. So this is. So we're going back. I don't know how much Phoenician echo is left, but let's have a little look at the pyramid here. We'll be looking down into the archaeological site, so that's fun to see. There we go. Yep. So, just looking at a park over here. So the one thing they always say in Spain is be really careful about pickpockets. But aside from that, look at this. There, and you get to, so all of these cities. I was asked a great question early on the trip. It's like, how do they lose these amphitheaters and things for, like the one in Cadiz wasn't found until 1980. But of course, when you had 300 or 400 years where maybe there is very little population, land builds up, soil builds up, plants grow. And that's what changes the world. But these old fortress cities, see them all through Southern Europe. But can you imagine, if you just reflect on it for a minute, the energy you'd put in to be building walls and not putting into plumbing and quality of living and education, right, to live in that sort of a world. I think there are 4 of the local soccer players, football players, but I'm not sure. Hard to say. So this gentleman over here is really cold. So sorry, I can't tell you a great deal about this area at all. I just know that we're in the deep historic center of the area. Is magnificent, isn't it? So let's go wander back around. So I'm meeting my group in about 25 minutes, and we're going to walk back and take the train back down to Fuengirola, at which time I will, and I think some of us will all go jump into the ocean and have a little swim. And then, but departures start at like 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, so that changes the game a little bit, having to get up pretty early, but that's fine. So last night I was sort of done by 20 past 9, but it's so nice waking up with the door open and overlooking the Mediterranean. And I love the way people say it's cold. It sure isn't. I mean, it's cold to step into, but it's lovely and easy. So it is busy here. It's been busy everywhere, but this is pretty high season as well for tourism. I highly, no, I'm not going home tomorrow, Jen. I am going up. I am flying through Madrid up to Vigo, and I am meeting, for those of you who have followed virtual tours, I'm meeting Sean and Tiernan, their family. So I'm really excited. I added 3 days to go up and visit them. And they have, of course, they run the company Eat and Walkabout, and they've been the agent for this tour, and they've just nailed it. They've got, great hotels, great organization. And so I have never been up to Galicia, and to have a friend there who happens to be originally Canadian raised to Vancouver. So we were both born in the same city. So I just thought, couldn't miss the opportunity. So we're going to go up, and I'm literally spending 2 nights, 1 day. And look at the size of this cathedral back here. And so, so we'll definitely do a virtual tour or 2 while we're up there. I mean, for sure we will. And then I'll take a train back to Madrid, and then I fly home. So I fly home on the 3rd, And I just booked a hotel at Calgary Airport because, of course, on the 4th, I meet a close friend of ours for a beautiful trip in Western Canada. So I've had a great time. It's been an excellent trip. And, of course, a lovely group. I do find, even though I've been just loving the food the last couple of days, I have so much more salt when I'm here because of all the cured meats and fish and everything. I could put on Facebook, I could put up a picture of some of the bacalao, the salted cod, and I do find that it affects my sleep. It definitely does affect how I feel while I'm here. And it's every time I come to Spain, so they just eat such a different diet than I do. So I'll get back to my greens and all of that. So a million other things. By the way, Paula was asking earlier, the Museo Picasso, if I went straight down the street, I'd get down to the Picasso Museum. He spent a bunch of time here. But well, Diane and I are going to be doing about 9 days of really extreme rock climbing. So that's kind of our plan. I'm going to be just handling the ropes. She's going to be actually the lead climber. But it'll, hey, thanks, Sarah. But it'll so nice to be back home as well. And of course, I'm back in Europe just, I don't know, a month and a little bit from now. I think I fly on June 4th from home back to London, then up to Dublin's Fair City. So spending a lot of time in Europe this spring. I'm going to work out what happens in fall. So yeah, have a look at these great streets. Oh, right there. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I got a few things I have to... Oh, look, there's another Irish pub for all you good Irish people. But thank you very much for the donation there, Sarah. It's much appreciated. These sort of sandwiches, I will have one at the airport, of course, because I will. But yes, so I got a bit of travel next few days, but want to hang out with my group, and I've enjoyed their company so much. And a few people who've been on quite a few trips with me over the years. I mean, they're just good people. It's just like good people and fun. So yeah, look at that. It's the hidden port, Puerto Oscuro. It's for Mueller. That is a good call. I appreciate that argument. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I will offer you just a big hello. I'm really glad to have a little video here, and a couple of people on my trip, Mara and Donnie, who didn't come up today. They're having a relaxed day, but Mara really likes me doing these videos, and because then it's a bit of a record of all the places that we've been to on the trip. So it's been really fun to pack that all together. So listen, peace, love, paz y amor, y bueno, a todos, hablamos y nos vemos, ojalá. By the way, next year, almost a done deal now. I'm going to put on a, that's interesting. I'm going to put on a tour to Morocco. Lots of people have been asking. My Central America one in November is a done deal. For sure we're doing it, but I'm going to change it a little bit because of internal flight things. So I think we're going to end up with Costa Rica and Nicaragua. That's what we're kind of working towards. So anyway, everyone, lots of love and keep in touch, and we will see you as soon as possible. So from beautiful, beautiful Malaga, and really surprisingly beautiful, because I remember it not being as beautiful. So from beautiful Malaga, I will see you all very soon. Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? Paula, but you're in for January for Oaxaca. Done deal. That one is a non-negotiable. All right, everyone. See you soon. Lots of love.